All right, everybody, we have got perhaps the most special and exciting episode of ELF Live for you. We are here in Cologne, Germany at the Fibo, and it is the first ever ELF Live and in person. I am sitting here a mere inches away in the flesh next to Matt Bressington, our resident ELF football expert here. Matt, what's going on, man? It's good to see you in person.
Oh, man, it feels good. It's been a while, right? It's been a while.
It's been a while. Everybody in the chat, what's going on? We got you here on our fancy-dancy iPads, okay?
Yeah.
Or Surface tablets, as they're also called. So we see everyone in the chat, what's going on. And we're connected on all the social media platforms. Put your thoughts and chats in there, and we will have them on the show with us. So we got a great show for you guys today. Matt, there's the top 100 has been coming out, okay? The ELF top 100 players, we've released the top 50 so far. You have not seen 51 through 60 that was just released moments ago, and we're going to talk about that in a section. We've got another little segment, Over Under, where we're going to guess where we think certain players lie in that top 100. It's been a little bit controversial, hasn't it, man?
I've heard, I've got some feelings on the 100 to where we are at the moment. I haven't seen a recent one, obviously. I'm saving some energy for it because I've been tagged and my phone's going crazy. I haven't looked at it, but I'm a little bit worried.
Yeah, there we go. So we're going to talk about that. And then, of course, we've got the signing center, some big signings. One broke yesterday that was quite big. And then a preview of what else is to come here from the Fibo. Now, we don't have an interview on this ELF Live episode, but we've been posting the interviews that we've been doing from the Fibo. We had some great ones yesterday with Patrick and Jelko and Chad Jeffries. Matt, you did a couple too. We're going to continue to do more. A lot of fun stuff happening at the Fibo. If it's a little loud, it's because there's a lot of noise back here. A lot of people screaming. Matt, would you say?
Yeah, quite. I think there's some kind of events going on somewhere, but people wearing nose tape everywhere. I know that irked you a little bit too.
Yeah, the nose tape. Don't get me started on the nose tape. The Fibo event is very, very cool. But if you guys have ever been here or are here, everyone's walking around with this black nose tape, and it just reminded me of this guy that went viral on social media a couple weeks ago for his morning routine, and now everybody's got these black nose strips on. I don't get it, Matt, okay? Am I going to find you walking around with one of those?
I mean, I don't think they got enough tape, man. I got a big nose. That'd be a tough challenge for them to find that amount of tape. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, man, you've got a beautiful nose. All right, everybody, we are going to get on into it. Now, let's start off with this segment here of predicting over-under where certain players will fall, or in your opinion, should fall on this top 100, okay? Now, let's start off the phenomenal defensive back, Devin Taylor of the Raiders T-Roll. Matt, do you think he falls over or under the top 50? Where do you think he lies?
Now, Nick, my blood pressure's gone a little bit crazy because the fact he's at 50 is a concern. The fact that he's not like over under 10 or 15 even is concerning. Devin Taylor's a lockdown. I mean, definition of lockdown. You see what he did to Geyer in the Raiders game.
I don't want to remember it.
One of the best corners in the league last year. So 50 is, I'm a little bit worried, Nick. I won't lie.
Okay. So you're saying he's got to be below that 50. He's got to be up there.
He's got to be a lower number. He's got to be under 50. Yeah, okay, absolutely, no question.
Everybody, and in the chat, if you've got an opinion, feel free to put your opinion in there. Yeah, Devin Taylor really did, man. He locked down a bunch of top-level wide receivers last year, bro. And so 50 feels a little bit disrespectful, perhaps is the word?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I'm massively with you. Normally when people say about evaluation, they say, oh, it's so disrespectful, it's disrespectful. Normally I'm not on it, but 50 for Devin Taylor feels extremely disrespectful.
Okay, we're gonna take a look at the actual top 50 here in a second, but let me ask you another one.
Yeah.
The reigning defensive rookie of the year, Pierre-Yves Maho, ranked over under in the top 30. In chat, you guys feel free to let us know what you think as well. What do you think, Matt?
30. Now, I like Pierre a lot.
Okay.
I do not think he's a top 30 player in the league.
Okay.
He had some good production, but when you look deeper into the tape, there's some stuff that he needs to polish up on. He still needs that grown man strength. He still needs to develop his rush bag. I think there are better defensive ends. And again, I'm just saying this because I know it's going to light a fire under Pierre as well. I will go for higher. 60s to 70s is where I probably put
Feels
Pierre
appropriate?
personally. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he had a great season last year. Here in the chat, Wretched Making says, is it top 100 all positions or what? Yes, it is. It's top 100, and it's based on statistics here. So this is statistical ranking. So don't get too emotional. Matt, we've talked about how statistics don't necessarily tell the entire story of a football player.
You could say that. You could say that, especially the offensive line position, the DB position. That's why I'm worried about Devin, because a lockdown corner, he doesn't get as many stats.
Well, dude, I think certain positions just kind of get, maybe disrespected or overlooked when we're just talking about stats. And football is so much more than stats, but it's what we have right now. It is a way to measure our players, and it's causing some controversy and stuff that we're going to talk about. Let's move on to the next one here. Leander Vigant, offensive guard for the Munich Ravens, ranked over/under in the top 20.
Top 20, interesting. I think that's about right. I'd say 20 to like middle teens. I think is where I put Leander. Extremely strong. We saw that 38 reps at the combine. He's a great pass protector. He's a great run protector. He's one of my favorite guards. He's a young guy as well. He's only, I believe, 25. He is an outstanding player. I would say 20 to 15 to 20. I'd be happy with.
Is there any other guard that you would put ahead of him?
Oh man, Nick Veens.
Okay,
Nick Veens jumps out outstanding for the guard for the Ryan Fire. I think that he might be one of the only ones. Like generally, both of those guys are outstanding. That both German as well, so it's fantastic for them.
Okay, there we have it. We're going to look at these in a second, like we said. All right, guys, chat in the chat. Feel free also to put your opinions here, and you can try and compete with the expert Matt Bressington and see if you don't look like a fool. All right, next one. Alexander Milanovic over/under top 20. This is the man of the year from 2024. That has to do with off the field stuff. We're talking about his on the field performance. Top 20 or not?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Again, probably the same place as Leander would be. Premier offensive tackle for a championship winning team or a championship contending team. He's fantastic, extremely long, athletic, very, very elite player. And I think probably about 15 to 20 as well. I'd have him and Leander close. I know you're going to make me pick one, Nick, so I'm going to preempt the question. I'm going to go for Alexander to be higher, or a lower number, higher in the rankings than Leander.
Okay, all right, there we go. It's a little confusing. Lower is better, means ranked higher. There you go, just to clarify that. All right, interesting. Now that you're getting very, very interesting, okay? Is this guy over/under top 15? Benjamin Holmes, quarterback for the Vienna Vikings. And sorry, Ben, I don't know if that's actually your full name, but I was just trying to be very formal for you, Ben.
I'm a little bit. What do you know, Alfieri? The fact you're getting, I feel like you know something I don't. And
Matt, don't try and extract information from me. I am a safe, okay?
Okay,
we'll reveal it in a couple minutes.
So Ben Holmes didn't play every game.
Okay.
So I'm thinking about that aspect. But when he did play, he was fantastic. Phenomenal quarterback. See, this is a difficult one because he did miss a couple of games. He did have a great playoff run.
Do you remember how many games in particular he missed?
I believe he missed 2 games.
Okay.
So, but he had a spectacular playoff game, which would make up for those lost regular season games. I'm going for under in the top 15,
okay,
maybe even
Ben
top
Holmes
10.
Under in the top 15, and you know what? I would say the same. I would say he deserves to be in there. Let's see if anybody in the chat has any good opinions.
I don't want to look at the chat in case they spoil it for me, so I'm going to keep my eyes off chat.
All right, last one on here before we take a look at what we've got so far, the top 50, or the 51 through 100 at least. Is this player top 5?
Yeah.
Zach Edwards.
Offensive Player of the Year. Of course he is. Offensive Player of the Year. He had, let's have a look at some numbers. He had over 3,000 passing yards. He had just a shade under 800 rushing yards. He was one of the top 10 rushers in the league. And then you add in those 42 total touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Of course he top 3, maybe top 5. He has to be. He has to be. He has to be.
In terms of quarterbacks exclusively,
I mean, that's a different list.
How many quarterbacks are ahead of him?
Oh man, honestly, none. He was probably the best quarterback this year. He was Offensive Player for the Year for a reason. I think he was the best quarterback this year. I know Riley is in that conversation, Chad as well, but I'm going to give it to Zach Edwards.
Interesting. All right. So there's the predictions from Matt. Now let's take a look at the top 50 that have been released so far. Max, you throw up, let's start up with the 91 through 100. Okay, let's see if there's any surprises here, anything that we don't like. Matt, I know you're not going to love that Benjamin Strait barely cracking the top 100. What are your thoughts on that?
Unreal. He's one of the best instinctual safeties we have in the league. He was an all-star. For him to be at 100 is is absurd, in my opinion. And I like Richard Gruden. I would put him above Richard. I like Yannick. I put him above Yannick.
Okay.
McKay didn't play half the year, so I don't really know why he's on it, to be completely honest.
Oh, hold on. Let's stop there. So
Yeah.
you don't think Matthew McKay deserves to be in the top 100 at all?
No, I don't.
Okay.
He didn't play the whole season. He got hurt at the end. He was fantastic when he was on,
Right.
but I do not think he was a top 100 core player
Okay.
in the league.
All right, fair enough. All right, Max, let's move on down to the next 10, please. Well, let's see, what jumps out to here? So I'm going to take a look here at number 86, Alessandro Vergani. Granted, I have a personal friendship with the guy, but I know he was pretty pissed off at that ranking, 86. Didn't like it. Do you think that he is justified in his anger to be ranked so far down?
Absolutely. Yes, he is. He is the fine wine, the red wine. Those Italians, a real red wine of the league. One of the best guards we have. 86 is a travesty. It's preposterous. I'm also looking at other ones. I think that Marvin Rush could be a little bit higher as well. I think Bernard Gruber, he struggles with injuries, but he could be higher. There's a lot of kickers and punters that have made it into the 80 to 100 range. So would I put a kicker or punter above Alessandro Vergani? No, I definitely
Not
would
liking
not.
it. By the way, we've got a W. Patterson in the chat. Not sure if that is our boy, the Willie Patterson, but he says Matthew McKay cold.
He is cold.
Okay, but not cold enough to be in Matt Bressington's top 100 for 2024.
Maybe 2025, but he didn't play in 2024 all that much. You know, he came in later, played really, really well, got injured, didn't play the end of the year. So he's a cold player, don't get me wrong.
Okay.
But he's not a top 100 player yet.
Would you describe him as hot and cold at times?
That's a great question. I think I wouldn't say hot and cold. I'd say extreme highs. He's not Isaiah Weed's hot and cold. I think Matthew McKay is a better quarterback, but he has maybe a lower tendency for those big explosive plays than someone like Isaiah Weed or Magic.
Right.
You know what I mean?
All right, Maxie, let's move on down here to 80 through 71 and see what upsets us here. Okay, Matt, what jumps out to you in this batch right here? Anybody getting disrespected or
There's a big
anybody
one.
getting a little bit too much respect?
There's a big one. It's got to be Flamon Simon at 74. And we talked about it. Best linebacker on my boards, 74. You know, remember that forced fumble in the championship game on Cowrie? Unbelievable. He was amazing all season. 74 for a top 15 player.
Crazy.
Unreal.
But does this not just go to show just how little stats tell the story? I've heard from a couple defensive coordinators in the league, and one in particular I'm thinking about, has said that Simon is the best linebacker in the ELF.
Yeah, I agree. Fun fact, so he's 6'5", about 250, so he's got defensive line size. He started his career in football as a corner, so he has a good coverage ability, and now he's moved into linebacker. That shows the level of athleticism. He's a monster.
All right, so there we have it. Moving on down to the next set of 10, please, William Axie. And we have 70 through 61. Now, Dara Lida from Ireland, possibly the most successful kicker last year, sitting there at 70. Malik Stanley at 69. We just saw him getting announced last, so we'll touch on that in the signing center. What jumps out to you here in this set?
It's Rodion. I don't know why Rodion's so low. 64.
Well, it's tough, you know. You're
He's
playing out there in Fehervar last year, you're going to get a little bit disrespected.
And he was still one of the best elite Europe. Is he the best European corner? I think he's definitely got an argument for it.
He's in that conversation.
He's
for
the
sure.
best ball-playing European corner,
For
that's
sure
for
he's in
damn
that
sure.
conversation.
So him at 64, I feel like he should be higher, maybe in the 40s.
It's interesting because you're talking about how Matthew McKay is a better quarterback than Isaiah Weed, but we've got Isaiah Weed here at 66. Now, you and I are both, I would say, or at least speaking for myself, sort of a hesitant fan of Isaiah Weed because he does some stuff that's incredible. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, Isaiah Weed is my man. This dude could be the player of the week, MVP of the week. And then the next play, I'm like, what is this man doing? Maybe hot and cold is a better way to describe him. What do you think about him being at 66?
You summed it up perfectly. I remember a drive even, I believe it was against Matthew McKay's Frankfurt Galaxy. He's driving down the field, amazing, perfect, diamond every single piece of space, outside throws, inside throws, intermediate, short, deep, everything. The next play, to finish the drive, you're going to go score, triple coverage, bomb, interception.
Yeah. And
That sums up.
That's sort of the sum up of it. But there he sits at 66. Now, before Max, you throw up this next 10.
Yeah.
Matt, I just want to give you a moment to prepare so you don't have a visceral reaction.
Yeah, you're going to need the camera on me on this one because I'm going to have my
see.
live reaction.
Maxi, let's do it. Let's throw it up here. The next set of 10. And what's driving me crazy right now is Ben Holmes at 57.
Oh my God.
And Devin Taylor at 60. And even Lewis Geyer at 51. These guys shouldn't even be talked about for about 3 more sets of 10. Are we being pranked? It's April 12th. It's not April 1st, is it?
So many of my friends have been done so dirty.
Talk to me, Matt.
All right, let me go one by one, Nick.
Okay.
Devin Taylor at 60. I'm so enraged I didn't even want to discuss it. You know, I'm incensed. Unbelievable. Ridiculous. Preposterous.
Preposterous.
Hugo Tekadam should be higher. You know, first year as a receiver, he comes in and is a leading French receiver in the entire league.
Okay.
Should have been higher. McKnight, one of the best receivers on the best team, was electric all season. I know he had injuries. Should be higher. Ben Holmes at 57 is the worst one I've ever seen. It's the worst one I've ever seen. Should be way higher. How is he not? He was in the MVP discussion for a reason.
Yeah.
So I'm at 57. If you're basing only on stats, he had stats.
He had crazy stats. I mean, this is supposed to be off stats. He had really good stats.
Unbelievable. Kaya above some of these guys. I love Kaya, don't get me wrong. Maybe in about the right place, I would probably be higher. Lucas, we talked about him on our team roundups. I think that he's a phenomenal player. Stanley Duregbe, sure, I like him at that position. Robert Werner, he was a special teams guy, so I'd probably put him lower than 53 personally. Gerald was hurt half the year as well.
Yeah. How about Geyer?
Geyer should be higher. Geyer had ups and downs, you know, against Devin Taylor at ranked number 60.
I know he got locked down by the number 60
and it
player.
The number 60 player, and
That's
I wonder where
bad.
he is in terms of I've got a little bit of a core.
You know, one of the beautiful things about doing the show live is you guys get to see all the imperfections that go along with putting on a show with a whole festival behind us. We had a little bit of sound difficulties, but our genius technical guys behind the cameras figured it out long enough for Matt and I to take a nice little coffee break. We're back. We just finished a segment talking about the top 100. We've had 51 through 100 release. A lot of controversy. Matt and I a little bit heartbroken, some tears shed perhaps about some of those, and we'll revisit that as they continue to come out. Let's move on now after our quick, unplanned intermission to the signing center, Matt. All right, signing center from our live show. Let's bring it up here. Starting off with the Munich Ravens signing back the linebacker, the Frenchman, while Nasri returns to Bavaria, 6 foot, 230 pounds, two-time ELF All-Star. Matt, talk to me about this signing.
Here we go. So I've described him as a linebacker's linebacker. The kind of linebacker you want on your team. You don't really want to play against him, though, because he's going to smash someone in the mouth. Right. He's a hard tackler. He's physical. He's a machine in the middle of the field. He takes very good angles. His pursuit as well. He's a very instinctual and smart linebacker. He needs a little bit more speed off that first step, if I'm being critical. But he is a very, very powerful player. I think they're excited to have him back in the heart of that defense.
You remember watching that playoff game, Munich versus Paris?
Oh my goodness.
How chippy that was. And we were actually talking to Chad Jeffries. You guys can check out that interview. It's up on the YouTube channel right now, talking about that game. But while Nasri was one of the guys, I was broadcasting the game, I was like, this man talks a lot of shit. He's very chippy. Granted, he was playing against his fellow Frenchmen, so extra motivated there. Do you like your linebackers to be kind of shit talkers like that?
I do. I like a bit of a nutcase in the middle of the field. You know, you kind of need one a little bit unhinged.
You want it.
Ready to just go into the A gap against a center and two guards that might weigh nearly 1,000 pounds. And you just want a 230 linebacker just to go in with a bit of vengeance. You know.
So there we go. Nasri returning to Munich, playing under Coach Ellison once again. All right. Moving on, well, sticking with the Munich Ravens and the defense side of the ball, Cole Coleman signing to the Bavarian squad. Now, he played a few games last year with the Vienna Vikings. Matt, how'd you feel about what he did what he put on tape for I think it was 3 games for the Vikings last year? Were you impressed?
I think it was a deceptive sample size, right?
Okay.
He comes in, he's a former Colts defensive back. He was on the practice squad, actually played with Aaron Maddox, who's come to the Raiders now, so that's an interesting connection. Elite level athlete. You know, he's in the NFL. He was in the NFL for a reason. He ran a 4.3. He's rapid. So I do not think that this short sample size was reflective of his true ability. You know, it's basically coming off the couch, moving halfway across the world to come to, you know, a completely new continent in Vienna. So I don't want to put too much judgment on him. I think he's going to come in this season much improved. He's very underrated in the box as well. In that championship game, you remember him flipping over Haaland, and that was like a very recognizable play.
Right.
I think that kind of persuaded some people that he wasn't very good in the box, but he is. He's an elite athlete with great box playing ability, and I think in Munich he can be a lot more sharp, and he can come in with a full season of expertise.
Yeah, it's always hard to jump in the middle of the season, especially if it's your first time playing in Europe. So curious to see how he shows up, having a full preseason and the time to adapt to Europe under his belt. All right, moving on to the offensive side of the ball. Now, we don't know too much about him. This is his first year in the league. For the Berlin Thunder, they've signed wide receiver Jeremiah Webb from the States, played at University of South Alabama. What do we know about him?
I mean, he's fresh out of college. Just left. I can't even find pro day information on him because he's only just left South Alabama. I like him a lot. So this is their Aaron Jackson replacement. Okay. He's got great size, 6 foot, just a shade under 200 pounds. I feel like he has a longer catch radius than 6 foot because he is making some incredible contested catches over the middle. He's very good, again, over the top of defenders. His route running in Tortiga, his deep route running, is very refined. It's very technical, and I like that a lot in a player. Someone who's not just running in a straight line for a fade. Someone who can throw some angles in, create difficult situations for the defensive back. I like him a lot. I think he's going to be very... It's hard, right? Because he's such a good player, but I do not think that the Berlin team is going to be able to show his ability as much as possible.
This is what I wanted to bring up, because if you guys have checked out on the YouTube channel, like we said, we're doing the franchise checks, and earlier today we did the Berlin Thunder. And Matt, both you and I felt a little bit unsure maybe that the Berlin Thunder were going to be lackluster once again. So you think that he's going to kind of not be able to have that spotlight or live all the way up to his ability because of the issues with the franchise?
I think potentially. I like the quarterback. Obviously, Sullivan, he's a veteran. He's played in this league for years.
Yeah.
But it's that offensive line. I'm really not convinced. And with a player that specializes in these deep connections with his quarterback, you need time for that to develop. You need time for him to run his routes. And to be fair, Sullivan isn't really a deep throwing quarterback very often. So it's a strange scheme fit. I know he's very talented, but it's a strange scheme fit.
All right, so there we have it. Now let's move on down to the Stuttgart Surge, signing my former teammate, re-signing Raheem Wilson is back with the Surge. Absolute baller, had a fantastic season last year. What was he, top? Did he lead the league in interceptions last year, right? And this dude is just locked down. I mean, I had the privilege of playing with him for multiple years. What are your thoughts on him as a scout?
Okay, so a lot of people, Nick, they get confused with terminologies.
Okay.
MVP, league's best player, different things. Very different things. I'm going to be a little bit controversial here, Nick. Raheem, I'm going to look straight down the barrel of this camera. This camera. This guy. This camera right here. Raheem Wilson is the best player in the European League of Football. He is a CFL starter. He is the best ball-playing defender in the European League of Football. He is the best press coverage corner in the European League of Football. He is the best player in the league. He's phenomenal, and I'm really excited. He's a defensive back's defensive back. I've heard corner's corner. I played corner, not very well. I was around cornerback. I stood on the field as a corner. He's my favorite player to watch because he's just he's so nasty, so aggressive, so good at tackling and everything with coverage. I love it.
He is. Fun fact about Raheem, he's just so nasty. He's just terrorizes people on the football field. Off the field, he's just this laid back. He loves candles. He loves yoga. He got me into meditating. It was just like being really soft off the field. But then once you get on the field, psychopath.
Flicks the switch.
And that's what Raheem does. And I'm really happy that they've got him back along with Mitch Fettig in that backfield. God, that's a tough duo back
really
there.
Is.
All right, moving on to a big boy. Over to Paris. Coach Jack Del Rio's squad has signed All-American defensive lineman Lamonte McDougal from Florida. Thoughts on this, Matt?
It's an interesting one. We don't see a ton of interior defensive line come in as A spots. Yeah. To come to mind over the last few seasons, you got someone like Will Lytle came in. He was an All-Pro. He was amazing. Apart from that, there's not very many memorable defensive tackles. There's a lot of defensive ends. He's a strength monster. And the way I say it, I mean that. He's a monster when it comes to. I've seen videos of him doing pull-ups on bars with his fingertips. Damn. 30 reps of, yeah, I mean, it's crazy impressive. 30 reps in a bench press as well. Donovan Isom, you remember him, he played in Berlin. He's a big quarterback, weighs about 250. Lamonte can suplex that. So that says about his strength. That's why I put suplex C. Great inside swim as well. You can get pressure on the quarterback. Elite, not elite off the line. He ran quite a slow 40.
Okay.
And I don't think his splits were amazing. But it's that strength, man. He can take two people and he can just hold his ground, anchor into those double teams really, really well. I think he's a very, very interesting prospect.
It's interesting. You said, I mean, obviously Will Lytle and now here with McDougal, just a couple of interior defensive linemen. If you were starting a team, or if you were GM in a team, would you ever spend an A spot on an interior defensive lineman?
I think it depends on the situation, right? Paris have different homegrown situation to a Cologne who had Will Lytle last season. I think if I'm Paris, you know, you got Edwin Elo, you got Mamadou Sy. There's the two big boys in the middle. I probably wouldn't personally. I think actually maybe I would. They got amazing defensive backs, especially if they get Beard back, and they got Amir Kalani. They've got some other guys I'm blanking on. They got good coverage guys in the middle like Digan Gomez. Maybe this is just an instance of let's just get as good amount of pressure as possible, and I like that. I think that could be a good. And who am I to question Jack Del Rio, who was an NFL Coach of the Year?
I don't know. It's his first year in Europe. You've been around European football for a handful of years. Maybe you know more than Coach Jack Del Rio. Who knows? Right, so there we have it. There's our signing set. Oh, also, though, we forgot one that was breaking, and then we questioned Chad Jeffries. I pressed him on this interview yesterday, and he didn't crack. However, the news broke during the middle of our interview. Malik Stanley returning to the Bavarian squad, to the Munich Ravens. Happy about this. I mean, I think it would be absurd for them to let a guy like this go. One of the most physically dominant wide receivers in this league. What are your thoughts?
Outstanding sign. I agree with you completely. If you remember that game against Paris in the playoffs that you mentioned, do you remember the left side end zone? A fade gets thrown on that side, and he just rips out of Chandler Jones' hand. Chandler Jones is one of my favorite corners ever played.
He's fantastic.
He's former Louisville DB. Yeah. He rips out of his hands like it's nothing. He's so physically dominant. He's a massive receiver, and I love this signing. He really fits what I think they want to have there and down in Moravia.
There we have it. Okay, so there is our signing center. And you know what, Maxie, this is kind of just a little impromptu here, but I just wanted to ask Matt, because Matt, you released kind of your top 10 players. I know that ELF is officially releasing their top 10 players, or the top 100 players, but you released sort of an aggregate of top 10 players of you and a few other media personalities around the league. Almost every single one of you guys had Madrid Bravos quarterback Reed Sinnett in your top 10. Now, I've been highly critical of the idea of a first-year quarterback coming to Europe and being dominant. We just haven't seen it that much. I always hit on Ben Holmes as being the rare example. Why are you so high on Reed Sinnett? What is so good about him that you're seeing on tape that makes you think he's going to be one of the best players in the ELF in his first season?
Yeah, it's a difficult question. It really is. So let's just look at Reed as a player prospect. And I really like to liken this to the NFL drafts. It's not the same because we're not drafting players in the European League of Football. But when they sign a new player and they start maybe their 5th best quarterback in the league, as the offseason goes on, you watch a bit more tape, you watch interviews, that hype builds up. Jackson Dart in the NFL draft is a really good example. He's just building that hype up. That for me has been Reed Sinnett. He's coming in with legit NFL experience. He spent multiple years in the practice squad. He was on an active roster, which makes, you could argue at one point, he was a top 100 quarterback in the world, which is a crazy thing to say. And then, my big red flags, he isn't winning a lot when he's playing professionally. In the USFL and the XFL, did not win a ton of games. I believe he went 1 for 4 as a starter. And I think he got 5 interceptions to 6 touchdowns.
Okay, not
so
great.
Production isn't crazy. But my big ace in my sleeve, if Andrew Wandinger wants him, then he's probably going to be pretty damn good. He's experienced with NFL playbooks. Andrew Wandinger spent years in the NFL himself. The last 2 MVPs have been in his system. He's got a very similar team. You look at Nico Barrow, he's not that different to Glenn Tonga.
True.
You've got a great line featuring Yasir Raji, who is a former Ryan Fire player. You've got speed on the receivers. You've got possession receivers like Dragon and Flores Calderon. This is kind of a Fire 2.0 mixed with a little bit of OG Barcelona Dragons.
Interesting. We all know what happened with Weidinger with those Barcelona Dragons, his return to Spain with Reed Sinnett. We will see. I'm with you. If Coach Weidinger thinks this quarterback will be successful and will help lead the team, I'm like, all right, man, I trust this guy's judgment. He's been around in Europe. He's been one of the most successful coaches in Europe at both the head coach and coordinator level. So I'm with you. Curious to see how that goes. So there we have it. That's what we got today. We got more stuff coming from the Fibo, all sorts of content, interviews. We're continuing to do the franchise checks, and we're going to be doing some more of those later today. We've already got 4 online right now. You can check them out as Matt does a deep dive into all of those. And we will see you guys on the next one. Thanks, everybody, for joining us on ELF Live.
Thank you. See you soon.